Just taking a moment.
Yep.
Okay. I am sure. Got it. We are now streaming live on Facebook. Excellent. So first of all, I want to say good evening to everybody who was able to join us today. And I'm so pleased to share with you my friend Martha, who is so delightful. I've had a couple of chats with her, and we share a common friend, Sumina, which has changed our lives, I'm sure. But what was interesting with Martha is she has this great program, Empowered Dating After 40. And as you know, in my group, we are focusing on anything and everything to do with that menopause, perimenopause time of our life. And dating at this age is so different from dating in our 20s and our 30s. And I can probably say confidently that most of us in this age group who are single generally have already gone through a marriage or a very long relationship and divorce. And it really is a different world that we left when we were single before. But I also think this information I would have loved to have known probably in my 20s as well, because it is something that is so, we're not trained on how to date. We're just thrown into it. And we don't necessarily know what we're doing is right or wrong. And so I want to basically introduce Martha to everyone. Martha is going to be doing a majority of this training. She's doing it all for me. I will be watching from the sidelines on the Facebook page. And so if anybody does have questions as they're coming up, please put them in the comments and I'll feed them to Martha so she can answer them at the end of this session. So on that note, Martha, welcome to my group, The Soulful Flow, and I will pass it on to you. Have at her, my friend.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, ladies. Allison, like, let's hear it for her. She's incredible. And I was really excited when she and I connected because we have an audience that has just this incredible overlap. As just a brief introduction for myself before we get into the training is my name is Martha Bodyfelt and I am a dating coach for women over 40. Now, as somebody who who got married really, really young, I really consider myself as a child bride, got married really young, skipped the whole dating and making the mistakes that I should have had in my 20s. I was divorced by the time I was 30. I made all these dating mistakes. Then the 30s crept into the 40s and I was still single. And when I was originally a divorce coach, but I started to use some methodologies for myself to find successful love. And that's why I became a dating coach, because it is almost like those old Slim Fast commercials. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And so this is what I love, is working exclusively with women at midlife and better, who honestly are sophisticated, are evolved, and regardless of how successful they are and all of the stuff that they've gone through in their lives, whether it was a divorce or a passing or raising kids or having a successful corporate job or running a household, there are so many things that we lose as midlife daters, and that makes us feel very disempowered when we're in the new dating scene again. So I am going to have you guys maybe for the next, I would say 45 minutes, and just kind of sharing with you some very kind of surface level information about what does it mean to be an empowered dater after 40. So let us get to it. Let me take a look at this next slide. Just as a brief training schedule, when we are going to be, what we're going to be learning today is we're going to go at first and kind of like take a look at the not so great stuff, what it means to be a disempowered dater, and honestly, why most of us, even if we are successful women at midlife and beyond, can kind of fall into that, get an understanding of that, the disempowered mindset. But it's not all doom and gloom, because then after talking about that and the impact of being a disempowered dater, then the sun comes up, then the rain is gone, and we are going to be able to look at what are some actually very empowering mindsets that we can have as daters at midlife. And then I'm going to show you all how to flip this script if you are kind of trapped in that disempowered mindset, how to become an empowered dater with a really quick exercise. Then we'll be happy to take any questions, Allison and I, and I'll share a little bit more information on how to join my dating group for midlife women. So let's take a look. So when we take a look at what is disempowered dating and what does that even mean? And I just want to say, as a coach for women who are incredible and successful, who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, whenever we think disempowered, we think it's because we did something wrong. And the furthest thing could be from the truth. But let's understand a little bit about what disempowered even means. So as midlife women, when we are divorced or widowed and we're trying to hit the dating scene again, we may not have been dating since like the Clinton administration for the past 20 or 30 years. And honestly, the way that we dated back in our 20s, where we would go to a bar and get drunk or just have a random hookup or things like that, we should not be doing those same things in our 40s, 50s, and 60s. But because we just don't have great information available to us when we're dating at midlife, we kind of get into the scarcity mindset. We kind of get into this mindset of, well, I guess I'm going to be lonely forever, or all the good men are taken, or, oh, you know what? Men only want to date, young 20-year-olds anyway. Nobody likes a woman who's mature and sophisticated. And so when we talk about disempowered dating, it is this idea that society, unfortunately, despite how much hard work we've done or how successful we are as women at midlife and beyond, it is an idea that is fear-based, and it is a scarcity-driven mindset that leads otherwise smart, incredible women just like you all into believing that you're going to be alone, that you're going to be lonely, that you are just going to have to be by yourself without any kind of physical or emotional intimacy with another partner and live in a shack with 12 cats. And although we know logically that doesn't really make sense, we still struggle with a lot of ageism and a lot of basically kind of hatred for women who are going through menopause and going through midlife into believing, well, there's nobody good out there for me, so I guess I'm just going to have to settle, or I don't know what to do, I'm just going to be alone. So that is what we mean when we talk about disempowered dating. Now, when we're looking at examples of what does that even look like? Here's a couple of things that are examples of if you're a disempowered dater and you're doing disempowered dating. And as we read these, I want you ladies to just really embrace there's nothing wrong with you, and you're not bad or you're not doing anything wrong if you've exhibited some of these examples and these behaviors before. Because we as women at midlife, when we're trying to date again after probably a decades-long relationship, why would we know how to date as a 40-year-old, as a 50-year-old? There's no class on that. So when we look at these examples, I want you to just remember that if you have experienced some of these, or even if you're going through some of these mindsets right now, this behavior can totally be changed. And we're going to start changing that in our time together. But let's just go ahead and take a look at some of these examples of what we mean by disempowered dating. So a woman who's kind of experiencing some kind of notions of disempowered dating, for some reason, she keeps attracting men that are wrong for her, even though she is smart and successful and a good person with a great heart. She also thinks that maybe because some of her past relationships weren't great or they didn't work out, that means that unfortunately, she's always going to have terrible, unhealthy relationships, or she's always going to be lonely. She might be scarcity driven because that's what society has told her. And although that's not what she deserves, but she might think that, well, okay, if there's a guy who's showing me attention, I'm not really interested in him, but I guess he's showing me attention, so I guess I should spend some time with him. Unacceptable. Another thing that happens with disempowered dating behavior is we will ignore red flags. If we see a guy who maybe doesn't have a job, or who's talking too much smack about his ex, or isn't texting us back in a responsible time that makes us feel safe and secure, we'll ignore those red flags. Now, we as women, we have incredible intuition. And so we know a red flag. Our gut will tell us that. But if you're a disempowered dater, you might say, oh, it's fine. I'll fix it. I'll fix him. It'll get better. A disempowered dater, because she might have been brainwashed by society to think that she's not capable, disempowered dater might think that, oh, she's looking for a knight in shining armor who's coming to save her. And a disempowered dater, despite the fact that she's successful and she has great kids and she's run a household and she's a wonderful mom and sister and friend, for some reason, she thinks that her life isn't going to be fulfilled unless she finds a partner. And because she is scarcity driven and because she's afraid that maybe she's going to die alone, she puts in so much effort into a relationship. At the beginning of the relationship, she puts in so much effort and she carries all the emotional labor even during the relationship. And even then, so she feels like she has to do that because she feels like, oh, well, I'm not going to find anybody unless I do all of these things. Because that's that scarcity driven and that's fear driven mindset. And unfortunately, and many of us ladies have this, unfortunately, it doesn't get until we're in midlife that we start realizing that that Disney fantasy thing is bullshit. But if you're a disempowered dater, you might still kind of buy into that because society has told you to. So a couple other ones is when she might go online and she just uses online dating apps and she feels very frustrated that she can't find great men. And then she thinks, well, dating is too hard. But she hasn't taken other kind of ways to date mindfully and to date in a way that suits her sophistication and that suits her more evolved mindset as a woman at midlife. So that's an example, as well as if there's a guy who just kind of ghosts her or doesn't give her attention, she blames herself. She thinks there's something wrong with her. She thinks that she's going to be lonely and she's going to die alone. So, like I said, if you have experienced any of these examples of disempowered dating before, I don't want you to blame yourself. I don't want you to feel bad. I don't want you to say, oh, geez, you know, I was in this workshop and I exhibited all of those examples. And so I'm just a loser or I'm going to be alone. No, it's not like that at all. Because I'm going to tell you ladies something. You are not the reason that you're a disempowered dater. Now, I promise I'm not going to go on like an angry feminist rant here. I really want to, but I'm not going to. But there are external factors that you have been put through, that you have witnessed and you've experienced in your decades on this earth that might have caused that disempowered dating mindset. So let's think about this. When you were a little girl and you were running and playing, or even when you were at the beginning of a relationship and different things like that, you probably did not have that same mindset that you do now. That, oh, men only want to be with 25-year-olds, or, oh, I can fix him, or, oh, he showed me attention, and although I don't like him, gee, I guess I will because nobody else is going to pay attention to me. You didn't think those things when you were younger. Unfortunately, there have been many external factors out there that have caused you to become a disempowered dater. Disempowered dating is a learned behavior. But what we're going to see in a couple of other slides, I promise we're going to get there. I promise you that disempowered dating is a behavior that you can unlearn as well. But let's understand we'll go into a little bit more information about what even causes that idea of being a disempowered dater. So what I've seen as a dating coach, I used to be a divorce coach, but what I see as a dating coach and a relationship coach for women who are at midlife and better, that most of the time they have this disempowered feeling where they struggle with their self-confidence and they struggle with their self-worth, and they think, well, I'm going to be alone. Nobody's going to be interested in me. I'm just going to attract cheaters and scammers and liars and men who are abusive. They think that because, unfortunately, they have gone through past relationships where that was the case. And so, as we mentioned, yeah, if you were with somebody who cheated on you and you're a survivor of infidelity, it's almost no wonder why you're thinking, well, men are just going to cheat on me. If you were in a relationship or you were in a marriage or a long-term relationship where not only were you working outside of the home, but you were the one who was running the household, you were the one who was managing the finances, you were the one who was taking care of the kids, and you were doing all of those things where it was almost kind of like your partner wasn't really doing anything and he's just kind of sitting on his ass, there was that labor imbalance, that you were upholding a lot of that emotional labor, which was not fair to you. But if you experience that and you had that for years and years and years, that conditioned you to have that mindset of, well, all men are going to be lazy anyway. Why do I want to be somebody's nurse? Why do I want to act like somebody's mom again? I don't want that. So it is understanding if you feel like that and you have those disempowered behaviors, it's because you got them from somewhere. And that was from a relationship where your partner was not upholding their end of the bargain. We talked about cheating. If you were a survivor of an abusive relationship, whether that was emotionally or mentally or physically, I see this a lot as well with my clients who were survivors of a narcissistic relationship and they were able to get out. They are still dealing with a lot of repercussions from being in an emotionally abusive relationship. And so they do have a lot of disempowered behaviors and thoughts because of that, which can be, well, all men are going to hurt me, or all men, or if I date, they're just going to cheat on me, or they're going to abuse me, or they're going to continue to make me feel like I'm less than. So all of this is to say, past relationships I have seen are one of the main drivers, if not the principal driver, for incredible women at midlife to have that disempowered mentality. Other things that I've noticed, because things don't operate in a vacuum or exist in a vacuum, what I see with a lot of my clients in their 50s as well, is they are still dealing with and suffering from the repercussions of some family dynamics growing up. Now, if you grew up maybe in a conservative household where you were taught that, well, little girls should just be quiet. Don't do something that's going to make the family feel ashamed. Don't do this, or anything along the lines of that, which I see in a lot of my clients, that can cause you to have a disempowered mentality as well. If you're struggling with self-worth, if you were taught that a woman is not really worth anything unless she's a mother or unless she is a wife, that can make you feel issues with your self-worth as well when you do leave that relationship. Past trauma. If you were in an abusive relationship with somebody who said that you were no good, a defense mechanism for that is to maybe the fact that you're believing that, well, no, maybe I am no good. Maybe I am not meant for a relationship. Maybe no man will love me or no partner will love me again. And that was a reaction to past trauma. Societal messaging as well. I don't think you guys need me to tell you that there is always this constant erasure of women in our society, of women's voices. The moment we show a wrinkle, the moment our tits fall down a little bit, the moment that we're not looking a certain way or anything like that. And so when we are receiving these societal messages, which shit, I know we do, we see that on TV. I do believe it's getting better, but we still see that on TV. That can lead us to have that disempowered dating mindset that, oh, I'm too old to date. Oh, only men only want to date 25-year-olds. Because, we see that like what all these James Bond movies, it's literally like the James Bond keeps getting older and older, but the women keep getting younger and younger. And so even if we have critical thinking skills and although we're very successful, that societal messaging just kind of seeps in. That can cause that disempowered mindset. And that kind of ties into the next one, ageism. Like we said, and I do think it is getting better, but there is this kind of idea that, oh, if women are older, we don't want to see them. Oh, let's bring in the young, fresh meat, which is absolutely disgusting. But I know you guys see that because I see it as well. But as strong and powerful as we are, when we enter a relationship and we want to find love again, we see that all around us, and it can be so frustrating. And another thing that can cause disempowered dating mindset is our own self-concept. If we dealt with past relationships where we weren't treated well, or it was a relationship that was not healthy and we weren't cherished and adored, if we had family dynamics growing up where we were having to be the people pleasers, we were having to be the quiet good girl, if we experienced trauma in the form of abuse or infidelity in our past relationships or throughout our lives, and when we're absorbing the ageism and the societal messaging that continues to objectify and commodify us, it's almost like a very deadly brew for us to believe that we are not worthy, and for our own self-concept of who we are as a potential partner and as someone who wants to date and wants to have physical intimacy, that can really put that into question. So all of that is to say, when we are looking at these examples, as we talked about, I don't want any of you to blame yourselves if you're explaining that or if you're feeling that way, because guess what? That was not something that was your fault. That was something that society and partners who didn't deserve you made you feel. But here's the question then, and here's the issue that we have to think about. We have a choice. And as midlife women, women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, if we don't remove ourselves from that impact of disempowered dating, and if we continue to fall in that trap, nothing good is going to come from that. Now, and I know I had mentioned previously that a disempowered dater kind of has this idea of like the Disney princess mentality that, well, if I just sit and hope and wish, then just one day I know Prince Charming or a really great man is going to save me. A really great man is going to heal me. But if we continue to kind of get stuck in that, as well as if we continue to say, I want love, I want to date again, I want to find a good man, I want to find a good partner, but we don't actually change our behavior, or we actually don't take any action to make that happen for ourselves, the impacts of being a disempowered dater and having a disempowered mindset will continue. And what do those look like? I know I'm no stranger to this. I don't know, Allison, if the women in your group kind of deal with this as well, like my clients do, but they will continue to repeat that bad dating behavior. So the bad dating behavior is continuing to put out maybe an energy that if you are beautiful and loving, but you do have some codependent energies, that might continue to attract someone who is going to take advantage of that, who is going to disrespect you. If you continue to maybe have this idea that, all right, well, I'm going to continue to carry that emotional labor and I'm going to do everything and I'm going to continue to do everything, that might continue to attract a type of man who isn't going to stand up for you, who isn't going to step into his role as your partner. And so I think we all have a million stories. I know I do, just from my own experience. I know that my clients do, where we keep falling into these patterns of attracting men or women, whatever, attracting partners who are no longer right for us. And one of the reasons that happens is if we are operating on that disempowered dating mindset. So it's not just a one and done. These are things that if we do not correct them right now, they're not just going to magically go away. We're going to continue to struggle with them as long as we try to date, which is just going to be bad news. Again, you know, if you have that disempowered dating mindset from the ones that we talked about, you will attract partners who aren't right for you. And if you continue to attract that, you're going to continue to get disappointed by them. And as a consequence of that, of having that disempowered dating mindset, you're going to be afraid to find love again. You're going to be afraid to put your heart out there because you're thinking, well, why the hell would I even bother if I'm going to continue to find men who are going to cheat on me, who are going to continue to just kind of disappear when the check comes, or are going to continue to break my heart and disappoint me, which then leads to feeling discouraged, which then leads to giving up and dating and finding love. Now, I know, obviously, as a dating and relationship coach for women over 40, women who are hopeful and women who want to date again and who need just a little help and a little bit of guidance are the ones I come to. And the last thing that I want to do is have women give up on finding love, because I can tell you something, that finding love at midlife and beyond is, especially if you've already been in a long-term relationship that didn't work out, or especially if you've maybe dated around and you've just been disappointed by just kind of loser partners who don't really serve you. But if you still hold on to that and you still want love, you're going to give up on it if you continue to repeat the same patterns that are maybe causing there to be dating people who are not aligned with you. And that's the worst thing as a dating coach that I want for incredible women who want to find love again, is for women to give up on dating and find love, because you know what? It is possible. There are incredible, single, emotionally available, kind, caring partners out there. But you won't find them, unfortunately, or it's going to be a lot harder to find them if there's still that disempowered dating mindset. So if we want to change, our patterns, if we want to change our outcomes, what we need to do is to change our behavior. And we change our behavior by changing our mindsets. So to this point, we have discussed what the whole concept and definition of disempowered dating and what that means. We've seen some examples of that. Many of those examples you may have run through your head today. Or, I mean, I know I have done that before when I had that mentality as well. Or you may have heard this from your girlfriends, or you may have heard that even in Allison's group. And so we've seen those examples. And now we also understand that we are not to blame for that. We are survivors of relationships that did not serve us and who had kicked us in the ground. We are survivors, and we are still trying to navigate through a society where societal message tries to erase and minimize women at the moment that they have a gray hair, at the moment that they have a crow's, like a crow, how can I can't even say that, crow's feet, that tries to erase us from society, who tries to silence us, who calls us nasty women or harpies or old maids or anything like that. So we understand that societal things, we understand that family dynamics, we understand that past relationship dynamics have caused us to have that disempowered dating mindset. And we also understand that if we don't change that behavior, these are the consequences if we don't do anything about it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I know as someone who, when I went through a nasty divorce and just kind of spent years making all the mistakes and having low self-worth, that I know that that did not, and carrying on like that and hoping that there was a Prince Charming come to find me, that did not make it so. And what did help me was I actually had to get really freaking honest with myself. And it was a lot of self-work. I had a very good therapist, but a lot of it was just me just saying to myself, Martha, you need to cut the shit because nobody is here to save you. You deserve better than to carry on thinking that you're not worthy of love. You also deserve better than just the scraps that some mediocre men or mediocre partners are throwing at you. You deserve better than somebody, 48-year-old, 52-year-old guy just randomly texting me you up in the middle of the night, acting like they're 18 years old. You deserve better than that. And that is something that I am so passionate about. That is what led me to be a dating coach, because I know that women just like you guys watching this here deserve a million times better than the bullshit that you're dealing with. Now, I'm not a fairy godmother, and if I was, I would have my magic wand, and for any woman at midlife and beyond who wanted a healthy, beautiful relationship, I would wave it and I would grant that to you all. I wish I could do that, but I can't, at least not yet. But here's what I can offer you. I can offer you a quick start guide to start changing that disempowered mentalities that you guys might be struggling with to an empowered one. So this is where the plot changes. This is where we got the plot pivot in the story, so to speak. I want to talk to you all about empowered dating, because do you remember when I said that disempowered mentality is a learned behavior? And with all behaviors, once we are conscious of it, we can actually unlearn it and put it to something more positive. Well, consider this your unlearning. I don't even think that's proper English, but just go with me on it. So, empowered dating at 40 and beyond. Let's actually get an understanding of what it means, because it's so much more than just the exact opposite of disempowered dating. Empowered dating is this kick-ass, confidence-driven abundance mindset where midlife women going through menopause, women beyond that, women even beyond more sophisticated than that, have learned from their mistakes, who aren't a victim to their mistakes, and who aren't going to let their mistakes define them. Empowered dating is women who are grounded in their standards. They know what they want. They're solid with that. They have that clarity. They have that confidence, and they have enough of that. So then they can, with confidence, go and meet and attract partners in real life. Now, this is just kind of, I would consider just a very kind of surface level concept to what something that I love to talk about, which is called your dating DNA. If you're interested in learning a little bit about that, I will have some information at the end of this training. But this is empowered dating. It's you have a confidence-driven mindset. It's driven by abundance, that you know that there are incredible people out there for you. It's that you know it's never too late to find love. It's you know that you're just getting started. But it's not this disillusional Pollyanna thing. It's also you have learned from your mistakes, you have gained that wisdom, but then it's also being very confident in knowing your standards, knowing what your non-negotiables are, knowing what your must-haves are, knowing what you're available for, knowing what you're not available for. All of those things make up empowered dating and empowered mindset. And that is something that, regardless of your past and your past relationships, you can 100% get. So we had talked about some examples of disempowered dating before, but I'm going to be honest with you, I really like the examples of empowered dating far better. Now, I know that Allison is going to be recording this, so for anybody who wants to revisit the examples of empowered dating, please do so. Or even right now, if you're watching this, let's keep this up for a second, and I would invite you ladies to take a screenshot of this. But some of my favorite examples, and I don't want to just kind of read them all off to you, but I think a couple of my favorite ones when we are looking at examples of empowered dating is someone who knows that her romantic past does not determine her romantic future. That I have clients who they just had a string of bad relationships, they had really crappy long-term marriages, but despite that, because they did the work on themselves, they were able to actually attract incredible partners, even when they thought it was too late for them. I actually have a client right now who had been a survivor of an abusive relationship, and he was cheating on her for years, and she'd been in with him for 38 years. And with that empowered dating mindset, within 2 years, she actually found an incredible man. I mean, and so for me, she was definitely an example of her romantic past not determining her romantic future, because there is that embracing the empowered mentality. I think one of my other favorites is she really embraces, an empowered dater embraces a true partnership, that she lets herself be wooed. She lets herself be cherished and adored. She knows that she can hold it on her own. She knows she can run the company, she can run the household, that she knows that, you know, she's got the kids who love her, she's got the grandkids who love her, but she still gives her that space to be wooed and treated like the goddess that she is. Another one that I really, really love as well is an empowered dater knows that she doesn't have to do the dating apps. In fact, online, she actually doesn't like them. And she knows that she doesn't really even need them, that she can meet great people in real life, and she knows where to go and what to do that. What she also does is she knows that even if relationships didn't work out, or she goes on dates that maybe didn't work out, she doesn't blame herself if they don't work out. But what she does is she treats that as a lesson, and she thinks, okay, what did I like about that date? Or what did I like about that relationship? What did I dislike about that? What am I going to do with that information and apply it in the future when I date? So she sees it as information gathering and not judging herself any particular way. Something I also love is that an empowered dater knows that her life experiences and her age is not a liability. Actually, her experience and her sophistication, she knows that is an asset, because she knows that she's not just going to put up with just the bare bones, that she has worked too hard for that. And she expects her partner to rise the occasion of doing these wonderful experiences with her, whether it's trying new restaurants or traveling or going on one of those Viking river cruises. That's what an empowered dater does. She knows that she has earned her wisdom, she has earned her gray hairs, and she's proud of that shit. She's not trying to compete with 25-year-olds. She knows she doesn't need to. That's what we're looking at. An empowered dater knows that she is a queen. She also knows that dating is not going to be easy necessarily, but then she knows that she's just going to embrace the process. She's going to have fun with it, but she also knows that the hard work is going to pay off when she does go through the dating and she puts herself out there. She's responsible for her own damn life. She knows that there's no Disney prince who's going to save her. She doesn't need saving. She can run everything herself. But she just also knows, oh yeah, it'd be nice to have someone, but she knows she does not need him. So these are just several examples of empowered dating. And honestly, I know that you guys can probably think of a couple more yourself, because I know deep down, even if you are feeling jaded with the dating scene and things like that, deep down, you know that you're still exhibiting some of those empowered dating mentalities. The trick, though, and the beautiful challenge and opportunity is to start replacing those empowered dating behaviors that you know are in your gut, and to start bringing those forth and to overpower some of that disempowered shit that you're still dealing with. So here are some examples of empowered dating. So let's talk a little bit about what happens when we are changing our behavior. What happens? What is the good stuff that can come along, the great consequences of when we are an empowered dater with an empowered dating mindset at midlife and beyond? Favorite thing, confidence and self-worth increase. Because when you are an empowered dater, you know that you are enough. You know that you are an awesome, kick-ass Wonder Woman, nevertheless, with or without a partner. Yeah, you want a partner, hell yeah. But your self-worth and confidence do not rely on that person's approval of you. That's what an empowered dater is. When you're an empowered dater, you're going to start to attract aligned people who love your energy and share your energy, and repel like these loser mismatch guys that are just not worth your time. That's what happens when you're embracing kind of that empowered swagger. Then you're also going to date from a more sophisticated and evolved mindset. Ladies, you shouldn't be dating like you're 20. You shouldn't be dating like you're 25. I consider that kind of the equivalent of flying in the shittiest seat in Spirit Airlines. That's 20-year-old dating. For dating at 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, that dating approach, I want you to think is you should be flying first class. You should be dating first class. That is what that empowered dating mentality gives you. You're also dating from abundance and curiosity. The idea that there's enough people out there for you to meet. That person's just waiting for you. You just need a little bit of help maybe to go find them. As well as curiosity. When you're going into a date, you're not like, oh my God, this is my only chance to get married again, or my only chance to find a partner. No, you're going in thinking, you know what, this is gonna be kind of fun. Let's have fun. You know, let's see what I can learn about this person. And if they're cool, maybe we'll hang out again. Maybe I'll let him take me out on a date again. And then it's also really getting grounded in, what is this teaching me about myself? How is this making me a more interesting person, or how I'm learning about what I like, which might have been different than when I dated 20 or 30 years ago. And that's what I love, is as an empowered dater, you're learning about yourself and what you want, because that is what matters. And when you lead with that, you're going to be better able to find and attract great people around you, instead of just, oh, well, I'm just going to go find this person and date them because they showed me a little bit of interest by sending me a wink on an online dating app. No, leave that for the young girls. We're doing a sophisticated thing now as empowered daters. What empowered dating also lets you do is it helps you be a little bit realistic that not everybody you date is going to be the person that you move in with or that you marry, and that's fine. And even if you maybe had feelings for someone that maybe you went on a couple of dates with, or you were physically intimate with, empowered dating lets you recover faster from that rejection. You're no longer going to think, oh, you know what, I'm just worthless, I'm not lovable because this person ghosted me. No, it's going to help you. And it's not saying that, oh, it doesn't suck sometimes, but what empowered dating does is it shows you, hey, you know what? I like that person. It didn't work out. What did I like? What did I learn? How can I carry that in the future? That's what empowered dating does. And what it does is, because you are going to be more selective, you're leading with abundance and curiosity and having fun. Empowered dating helps you avoid dating burnout. And like I'd said before, it's also going to let you have a lot of fun in the process. Like, when's the last time that you had fun on a date? How wonderful would that be anytime you go into a date with a new person, being like, you know what, let's just have fun. But once you start embracing that empowered dating mindset, you're definitely going to have more of that, regardless of how the date turns out. So when I teach empowered dating and when I coach my clients with empowered dating and with something that I call the dating DNA framework, which encapsulates empowered dating, that is a months-long course. But you know what? We don't have months. We have, we're here for a beautiful Tuesday evening with a glass of wine. So if you say to me, well, Martha, that sounds all nice and dandy, but how do I do that? I'm just here for a Tuesday. I'm here for some Tuesday training. So something I would offer you ladies is this cute, like little quick start guide. And so this is what is going to be able to kickstart your journey, so to speak, into having a powerful, empowered dating mentality away from the disempowered, scarcity, fearful one to something that is powerful and fun and basically like Wonder Woman kick-ass. Couple of things. Number one, when you guys have a moment, I want you to identify 3 disempowered mindsets that you struggle with the most. Now, unless you're like a literal Wonder Woman, you're probably struggling with some of those. I mean, I recently remarried. I'm in my 40s. I recently remarried. I had been single for years after a really messy divorce. And sometimes even, I'll be honest with you guys, sometimes I struggle with some of the disempowered thoughts. So what we do is we identify and we get very honest with ourselves what our 3 disempowered mindsets are. What is that negative voice in your head telling you the most? And we're not going to judge ourselves for it. We're just going to get curious that, hey, what are the things that I deal with? Then for every disempowered thought, there is an equal and actually more powerful opposite to that. So for those 3 disempowered mindsets, I want you to write their opposite. And the opposite is the empowered one. Now, after you've identified those, every single day for a week, what I want you ladies to do is look for the evidence to support that empowered mindset. I'm going to give you an example on that in the next slide. But this is what we do. We identify the empowered one, and then we find the evidence to support that in our lives. Because when we have our present with the evidence, and when we tell ourselves something is true enough, we will know it to be true. And so after that, for reinforcement, after you find those pieces of evidence, I would invite you to commit to yourself 3 times this week in writing how you're going to demonstrate that empowered behavior. So if you'd like, let me go ahead and walk through that really quick. So if something that you struggle with, and these are the most common ones that my clients that I work with, who are women, beautiful, incredible women, they're all in their 50s right now. These are the things that they deal with the most. So the disempowered one, I'll never find the love that I want. What we do for the opposite of that is we give the empowered counterpart, which is my love is out there waiting for me. I just need some help to find them. So after we identify that, what we do is we need to be vigilant about looking for the evidence to support that. And so here's what that looks like in this example. And you know what? Your examples could be different, and that's fine, because remember, this is whatever works best for you. That is, I am going to look for articles and examples about women who find love after 40. That's easy to do. As long as you know how to use Google, you can say women who found love after 40, women who found love in menopause, anything along the lines of that. Or another example that you can do to find that evidence is I'm going to reach out to those friends and family who found love after 40, who found love during menopause. Now, I find women like this all the time as a dating coach for women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. So if you are still struggling with that, reach out to me on Facebook, and I am happy to share those examples with you. And so we also want to have a commitment to embrace that, the commitment to that evidence. And that's going to look like, hey, in order to continue to find that evidence, I am going to spend 30 minutes 2 times a week in productive spaces dedicated to finding love. So that could be going to a wine bar and having a glass of wine and talking with the cute 50-year-old bartender. Or it can be, you know what? I am going to write down in my planner, I'm still analog, I have a paper planner, hey, between 2 o'clock to 2:30 on Wednesday, I am going to do a fun Google search, take a break from my work, do a fun Google search on stories of women who found love at 50 or stories of women who found love at 60. because we need to actually plan finding that evidence, or we're not going to do it. Another example then, men only want to date 25-year-olds. So empowered counterpart of that is those men aren't aligned with me. There are great men out there who want to date women over 40, 50, and 60. So the evidence to support that is going to be, as an example, I'm going to reach out to midlife men I admire, whether it's a cousin, whether it's a coworker, and just, ask them, hey, what do you like about the relationship that you have, with your wife, assuming that, the wife is at midlife. Or something to substantiate that as well is I will make the commitment to attend a 40-something, 50-something singles event or a hiking or a meetup group in my area with the intention to have fun with it. And then the commitment to that is reflecting, I'm going to take 45 minutes on Monday night, reflecting how my rich life experiences and my journey is an asset to anybody who even deserves to date me. See what we're doing here then? Disempowered, empowered, evidence to support empowered, and then the commitment to continue to look for that evidence. And another one that I deal with, the last one here, I feel incomplete without a partner. Empowered counterpart is, look, I have an incredible life, and this is for you guys out here, because I know you all do have incredible lives. My life is awesome as it is. Yeah, I want a partner, but I'm only going to choose to be with someone who adds to its awesomeness. I want you to think of your life like this. Your life and who you are is the manor in Downton Abbey. It is beautiful and incredible. Now, if you want to add a nice Italian tiled pool, yeah, that'll be great. But even without it, it's pretty great. So those are kind of the mentalities that I like to encourage my clients to think about. And so for that evidence that your life is awesome, I want you to list 3 things every day that you're grateful for, and choose to try something new every week that you're curious about. And the commitment to do that, I will choose those things every night before bed. I'll write it down in a gratitude journal. And then I commit every Saturday morning to try something new. Just because you're at menopause or perimenopause doesn't mean that you can't date. Doesn't mean that your life is over. And certainly doesn't mean that you shouldn't be going out with like a beautiful, empowered mentality, because that's what you deserve at menopause and perimenopause and beyond. It is basically your birthright. That's how I feel. So what did we talk about today? We discussed that what really is disempowered dating. We looked at some examples of that. We got a better understanding of why we as women at midlife and beyond might suffer from disempowered dating mentality. We've learned why it's not our fault. But then we've also had that beautiful pivot of, well, what exactly is empowered dating? How can I change my behavior to that empowered dating? What is the word for word scripts of what does empowered dating look like? What can it do for me? And what is the quick start to start ingratiating that into my mentality? So I know that was certainly quite a lot of information that I gave you guys in about 45 minutes. But if you have any questions at all, what I would invite you to do is actually go over and join. I have a group just like Allison does, and we have a lot of overlap, which is amazing, which is why I love working with her. And so my Facebook group, if you just want to put in the Facebook search, Empower Dating for Women, you can go ahead and find me there. You can check out the website if you want to get a free newsletter on great dating tips and dating better at midlife and beyond. And then you can visit me over at Instagram. I have a lot of very fun content every day about how to become a better dater and attract the love that you desire at menopause, at perimenopause, at 40, 50, 60, and beyond. So that's all I have. I am happy to turn it over back to Allison. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for hosting me in this training.
Hi, thank you so much, Martha. I want to thank you for being here. Wow, I have to say, what an amazing amount of information. What I noticed, to be honest, I loved how you touched on dating from abundance and curiosity.
Sure.
And I think that part really was like, yeah, I think that's a hard thing, because we think there isn't that many fish left in the sea. So we're constantly that feeling of switching it around and saying there is time and there is enough. And I'm just going to be curious. And I loved when you say you will let him take you out on a date again if you
Hell
want.
yes.
I love that. I would
Hell yeah. Like the
yeah,
time for like placating is no, we as women at midlife and beyond, yeah, we're running the companies. We're running the household. We already know that. We know that to be true, that we're independent and incredible. Let's be wooed. We deserve to be wooed.
absolutely.
Exactly.
And I think if we approach it with curiosity and that attitude of abundance, what a huge switch that would be for many.
Yeah.
Without that feeling of there just isn't enough. So
Exactly.
I have to take the bottom of the barrel.
And absolutely, like, no, we are here for, I know that it's a Canadian Thanksgiving, so it's Thanksgiving soon. So
yeah.
Think of it like we at this age as abundance, you know, the dating possibilities for you, that is a Thanksgiving feast. It is not, you know, what's in the back of the Tim Hortons. Is that the right, I use that right cultural reference, right? Like such an ignorant American. I know. It's not just like at the back of the dumpster, like in the back of the Tim Hortons or whatever.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful spread.
Yes, I love your Canadian reference. Just if anybody doesn't know, Martha is she's down in Washington, D.C.
I know. Talk about the back of the talk about like the bottom of a dumpster. But like, yeah, speaking of the bottom of the dumpster, but that's a whole other conversation.
Totally different conversation. So I will leave it at that. And thank you very much. We were live, so it's going to be up in the Facebook group forever. So we can, if you know anybody in that wants to share this information in my group, and you know people who might benefit from this very short training, but so informative, please share the video, and or please reach out to Martha. Like,
absolutely.
I think she would be a great asset in your life as you're dating in that after 40 time frame, and especially if you're brand new to dating after a divorce or a separation. She's your girl.
Absolutely. Thank you. And come on over. The water's fine. Nobody's been peeing in the pool, so come on over. We'd love to have you in the Facebook group or alongside on Instagram or even the newsletter.
Absolutely. And on that note, I wish everybody a lovely Tuesday evening. Again, Martha, thank you so much for being here with me. I will be in touch with you, I'm sure, in the future, as well as I'll make sure that all of your information is in my group, so that people can continue reaching out to you if they have any curious questions.
Love it. I'm here for them. Bring it on.
Excellent. All right, everybody. On that note, have a good night. Thank you very much.